cornrows, and the cops looking at me like, and then, you know, everyone, we're all throwing our pagers into the fucking glove box before he gets up. You know, there's parts of that, especially now with the awareness that I have now, I can look at it and understand. But at the time, that me being a white boy was not so much.
You standing trial. Why ain't I see you around back when I was down?
What's up, world? It's your boy Big Court of the Holdin Court Podcast and Legacy Builders. You already know what it is.
I'm back.
You back, bro? Where the fuck you been?
Man, it's been busy though.
Yeah, where you been?
It's been busy. We have other shoots going on.
Man, this man Hollywood on me. We can't do it without producer Ken, but he still make it happen. I will say that no matter what's going on, he multitask, make sure we looking good, sounding good, and all that.
I haven't been here for many shoots, so this is actually the first one I'm back for.
You've been doing the Kaiser Soze thing.
Yeah, and what he'll do, he'll just pop in. You'll just see him. I see him in my peripheral, just come in and sit in for a second, say a few things, and get up and go do a meeting. You know what I mean?
Hey, it'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But I had to be here for this one, though.
You had to be here. If you hadn't been here, your SAC card would have been revoked.
Nah, I had to be here. I'm gonna let you do the intro, but this man's my brother. We've been close since the '90s.
Yeah.
I mean, with no gap, no funny shit, and we talked about life and things bigger than rap, and you know, the friendship has been deep since then. So I appreciate him coming out.
For sure.
Appreciate him being here, and I'll let you do it.
Yeah. So let me start. Okay, because I want to remind y'all guys of how prolific this guy has been in the Sacramento music scene. And just in case you forgot, and you may be seeing him, and you may be like, okay, I ain't putting it together. He ain't got the cornrows.
That part.
So let me do the justice. I'm high up off the hocus pocus. My diagnosis is a murderous psychosis, and motherfuckers know this. I'm quick to pull the pin up out the grenade and hand you the pineapple and say, here, motherfucker, hold this.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Loki and the Murder Show.
The ad-libs. Hey, can I tell you some bullshit before you do the intro? Yeah. Me and this man did a song together, and you remember back in the day when everything wasn't on computers, so you were limited to tracks?
Yeah,
you don't even know this.
Was ADAT and all that?
Yeah. ADATs. Mm-hmm. So we did a track together, and I had a sick fucking verse, doubled it up, ad-lib. And then when I finally heard it and it was mixed down, all my shit was gone. And it was like, low-key have 48 fucking ad-lib tracks. Hey, he had the, whatever song we did with Spice One, he had the 187 on your FM dial. And it took all my shit off. So all my ad-libs was gone. No. And he said we had to dump a track so we could keep his ad-libs. And I said, motherfucker.
Low-key was the star. So listen, with no further ado, man, we got the homie Low-key from Sacramento.
Yes,
can I say Siccmade or formerly Siccmade?
Well, Siccmade is not, Siccmade, founding member of Siccmade, not with Made Sick, founding member of Blockstar.
Okay, that's founding member of Blockstar with X-Rated, and founding member of Siccmade with Brotha Lynch Hung.
Correct.
Okay, right, because Made Sick is something different. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, but thank you, brother. Thank you for coming.
It's great to be here.
I think that's the most illustrious intro we've done thus far.
Hey, well, you know, when family's in town, you know, you make it big.
That's right.
You make it big.
That's right. Let's start from the beginning real quick, brother. So where you from and where'd you grow up?
So born on the East Coast, grew up in Hawaii, moved to Sac around 13. Hawaii was kind of wild, kind of in the wilderness. It was, you know, this is late 70s, so we're talking kind of extra, you know, expatriate, hippie, outlaw culture, pot farms, that kind of shit, which I'm very grateful for now in terms of being exposed to a lot of different cultures at a very young age.
Right.
And so I don't think, I kind of skirted around some of the biases and prejudices that I could have grown up with. And then from there, from the jungle, from kind of very little structure to Sacramento was kind of like whiplash, culture shock. And then from Sacramento, I've been a Cali boy ever since.
Okay. It makes sense now. You coming from the East Coast. Is that where you got, where you first was exposed to hip hop?
No. I wasn't exposed to hip hop until Hawaii.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And like, to be clear, back then in Hawaii, there was a gap or like a 6-month delay to getting shit. Like we didn't get Star Wars for like 6 months.
Wow.
All my friends.
Which island?
Big Island.
Big Island.
Okay.
So all my friends on the mainland, what we call the States, you know, the continental states, were like, you got to see this movie. And that came 6 months later. Same thing with hip hop.
Yeah.
So I got a hold of a mixtape. I'll never forget it. I was in a strip mall, and I hear the strings of Planet Rock. And that's some apocalyptic shit.
Yeah.
Like, people might look at it now like, it's a little disco, but that's a banger.
Right.
And I heard those strings, and I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Then we turn a corner, and there's these two B-boys with the half white face paint, the whole works, the Vans, the checkered hats, pop locking. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So I asked those two dudes to teach me afterwards, which they did. And to bring it full circle, I went back to the Big Island last year and bumped into one of them. He was like,
shit.
do you remember
One
me?
of the pop
One of the pop
lockers?
lockers.
Yeah.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah.
So that's where I got introduced to it. And it was weird because of that distance, like the only visual cues that we got were from like Breakin' and Breakin' 2,
Right.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I come to SAC and I hear that there's a little breakdancing club, right? And me and the homie, his mom takes us there, and I've got the bandanas, the parachute. I'm fucking an embarrassment.
Man, the parachute pants was the shit back then.
Dude.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, I'm not gonna point out the age gap, but I didn't grow up in that era,
Okay.
you know. But
so
that's
me
you.
And him about the same age, or am
Yeah,
I older
yeah,
than him?
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So-
the parachute pants with the zippers on them.
Parachute pants with the zippers,
Yes, yes.
the tiger stripe bandanas, the checker bandanas,
The fat
taking
laces.
cues from
Fat laces.
And I walk into this club and everyone's in Dickies and Chucks.
Oh yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was terrible, and I've been every couple
Is that
of
because
years.
Sacramento already had the LA culture? And
Sacramento was Sacramento, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, we got things late on the Big Island. Not to mention, I think when you're on the Big Island, like island culture is very isolated already.
Yep.
And so things kind of get filtered in and out. Like I saw Flashdance 3 or 4 times, not just because that was probably my first, you know, crush, but also
The water. Yeah.
the water scene. I mean,
Yeah.
she,
Miss
was,
Water
she, was,
scene.
she was iconic to me.
Yeah.
But beyond that, there's that scene on the street with Crazy. I think it was Crazy Legs breakdancing. I went back to see that movie 5 times just for that little minute clip. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So by the time I got to Sacramento, I was in love with it, but I didn't have any idea what it looked like there. And so I walked into that nightclub looking like an absolute idiot.
Yeah.
And everyone's in Chucks,
Yeah.
Dickies. It was terrible.
It was a culture shock.
It was a culture shock, definitely.
Yeah. So when you moved to Sacramento, did you transition? Did you go to the hood? You moved to the hood?
I was on the east side first, and then I've moved all around the city, downtown, Arcade, a little bit of the north side, so all over the place. And it wasn't until I tried to fit into the neighborhood I was in. It was a bunch of rockers. So I started listening to other kinds of music, and things would come full circle when I got back into rapping, and that's when I met Lynch. And that's when things picked up with Siccmade years later.
So how did you come about meeting Lynch? Because at that time, was he Brotha Lynch or was he?
He was. Yeah, it was a nice call.
Okay, yeah.
He was Brotha Lynch, and me and my DJ Time Bomb, shout out Time Bomb, we had a little crew. We had a group called the Bastard Sons. He was the DJ, I was the rapper. We went to a studio, I forget the name of it, that was engineered by a rocker who didn't know how to mix fucking hip hop. And we knew that, like we heard it and it was like, this ain't right. And I forget where I heard it from, but someone said there's a guy engineering at Enharmonic. Shout out Enharmonic.
That's legendary
Yeah,
studio.
yeah.
Yep.
Who knew how to mix, you know, who was about that shit. And so I requested him, and that's how I met Lynch on the first day that we went there to drop our first song.
So did Lynch already, I mean, I know he had local infamy, but had Nigga Deep come out yet? Like, was he Brotha Lynch when you met him, or was he just kind of like trying to get on?
I'm not good with the timelines. 24 Deep was out, or
Okay.
it was about to come out.
All right.
So the hype was there. The energy was there. And the first session, Time Bomb laid down the beat, and it was a banger. And Lynch was like, I'm looking forward to hearing you spit.
Yeah.
And so then the next session, I spit. And that's when we started vibing.
Got you.
And kicking
What was your impression of Lynch when meeting him? Like you hear him and you have your expectation. Then once you met him and got to know him, what was that experience?
Well, for me, it was the other way around. I got to meet him without any expectations.
Okay.
And then I got to see him grow as an artist. And from day one, I mean, the man's talent is undeniable.
Right.
It was, I think at that point, I didn't think about making the music myself. I was just writing the rhymes. But he was the whole get down. He could
Now,
make
when you
the
say
music.
write the rhymes, write your rhymes or help write his?
No, write my rhymes.
Okay.
We're from the generation where you got to
That's
pen
right.
your own shit.
No, that's right.
You
That's
know what
right.
I mean?
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
'cause people-
I feel you. Dr. Dre gets a pass. Eazy-E gets a pass.
That's right.
Drake does not get a pass.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
So-
from that generation where, it was about that originality.
So being that, because at that time, Lynch was an outlier, that with the horrorcore, like nobody else, I ain't gonna say nobody. I mean, you kind of had Gangsta Nip, you had Esham, but for the most part, especially on the West Coast, I would say Lynch was the first one that we heard doing the horrorcore. So you having just a reference point of regular hip hop, like how did that, what he was doing, how did you process that? Like, were you like, I don't know about this, bro, or like, nah, hell nah, we doing this?
when I heard Return of the Baby Killer,
Yeah.
before it was dropped in the studio, he just wrote it and spit it to me. I was a little bit like, what? Like, okay, so this is where we're going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, listen, man, it is a testament to, like, out of the whole horrorcore genre, it is a testament to Lynch's skill and his ability to channel that energy. He's the one that people were like, this guy might be serious.
Right.
I think a lot of people look at that genre as a little bit pastiche,
Yeah.
a little bit kind of play acting, cosplay, whatever you want to call it. But we'd be on tour and people would come up to me like, hey, does he really eat people? Grown ass
Yeah,
adults asking
yeah,
that question. Like, that's the thing. As an artist, as a recording artist, like we, after a while, we tend to understand cadence and tone and delivery, right? And there's times where it's a performance and there's times where it's like really coming from something.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the reasons why the shit that Kendrick just dropped had a lot of resonance, because it's like, this sounds
Yeah.
like this is how you really fucking feel.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And Lynch had that energy in what he was doing.
Yeah. I've seen him talk about that, and I think he attributed it to his kind of isolation and being an only child and listening to a lot of different genres, Black Sabbath, and just kind of merging and fusing that rock with his imagination, and then just kind of being by himself, and left to his own thoughts. I think that's how he said he concocted that. So I think he probably did create this whole world of his that he was, vicariously just putting through music. Because it did sound, because Siccmade, I don't know, y'all whole crew just kind of had this thing. Like, it was.
Well, I don't know though, because
it
I
was
was
a-
thinking about it as we're talking. I'm like, but you didn't really get that with Mr. Doc.
Yeah.
Like he
But
wasn't doing that.
But that's not
I
who
didn't
we
get
heard.
that from you.
But that's
like-
not who we heard first. When Siccmade, who we heard was Lynch. Well, I'm talking from Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, okay.
So our introduction to Lynch Siccmade was X-rated,
Right.
and
Yes.
24 Deep.
Yep.
So when you put, Psychoactive,
Psychoactive.
Right,
it
that
makes the
sickness.
crew. Yeah. So how you start? That was the introduction. So we like, damn, this group.
Well,
of niggas
from
is crazy.
Sacramento, again, it's not Siccmade to me on the north side. It's
Yeah.
Black Market.
Right.
Because
right.
then,
True.
because I'm getting
was the
introduced.
paradigm.
And I'm from Highlands, and then Highlands because they're all from the South.
Yeah.
So we were like, yo, who's in the South fucking tearing shit up? And it was X and Lynch. And you had Sibo, also
Yeah.
from the neighborhood, but kind of doing his own thing.
Bo was different. Yeah.
Bo
His
was
shit
different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Black Market.
Yeah.
To me, that was like the Hounds of the Underground, all the taglines you guys used to have.
Right.
That was like the
Right.
Black Market sound.
Right. Because I'm going to be honest with you. When I think of y'all's crew and I think of Sac and even Black Market, I think of Psychoactive and The Sickness. The song The Sickness, that painted the pictures like this is what these cats is about. I don't know if these dudes is sitting in pentagrams, drinking 40s.
Well, and then on top of that, look, shout out to X because that is what you think of.
Yeah.
But then you also got Homicide,
Right.
also who.
True.
I mean, everyone.
But
It was
see,
like
Homicide, now again, I'm an out of towner.
Yeah.
You know, so in Kansas City, from our vantage point, Homicide was there, but X and Lynch.
No,
is
I
what
would never. Yeah,
laid
X
that,
is
that whole
Lynch.
Siccmade
But
thing.
when you thought about it, you got a dude named Homicide. You
Yeah,
got- you know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, it
yeah.
was the black market
Right, right.
sound. And everybody, look, if you was into town like I was, and even fucking with music, everybody wanted to be part of
Yeah.
it. Like, everybody wanted to be down with it. Like,
Yeah.
So
as
let me
close
ask
as
you,
we could get to it.
What was your first time in the studio, like recording? Like, what made you got? Well, it's a 2-part question. So when did you decide to formulate Siccmade, to say, hey, you know what? Let's put this crew together. You know, let's go get COS. Let's go get the Tall Can, all these other cats. Zag. You know, shout
yeah.
out to Zag. And then the fact that you guys are a multicultural crew as
Heist.
well.
Right. Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Heistables.
Right.
I mean, y'all got white guys, black dudes. I think COS is Mexican or something. Huh? Yeah.
Or
You feel-
mixed.
Yeah, or mixed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who formulated that? Whose idea was that?
So Siccmade kind of formulated between 24 Deep and Loaded. Mm-hmm. I don't know how. I think at this point there was some awareness that the independent route had power to it, to do our own thing, to have our own label. You know, we were seeing what Master P was doing, and so the idea of, especially because of the skullduggery going on over a black market, I think the idea was to form our own crew and do our own thing. And I was definitely very die-hard about it. Like at one point after That's What I Said came out, there was, Art came to me and said, Master P's interested in signing you.
Shout out to Art Battle.
Shout out to RB.
I just talked to Art literally about a week ago.
Nice, yeah. And it didn't even cross my mind. I was like, nah, man, I'm not pen and pixel album covers in the South, like,
You wasn't feeling that, low-key?
I was feeling it, but
It didn't fit what you were doing.
It didn't fit us, and Siccmade, we were going to take over the world. This is at a point where we're just now becoming aware that you could actually make a fuck ton of money at
Right.
this.
Yeah,
so
I understand.
Our original intentions were a little more pure and a little more driven by creativity and expression than just the bag.
Got you.
And so, like eventually, I remember hearing when Missy Elliott had like a $250,000 to $500,000 budget for a music video, or when E40 got $3 million
I remember
for a
with
distro
Jive.
deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, with
He was
Jive.
on the cover.
He was on the cover.
Yeah.
That was like a big
Was it
deal.
the
Didn't it say
Source or
three-
Rap Pages?
No, I think it was the Source.
And it said the $3
$3
million
$3 million
man.
deal. Yeah.
Which is nothing compared to what happens
Nothing.
now.
And by the
Yeah.
way, E40 had a very unique deal with that. But go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, we were starting to become aware that this could be
Yeah.
a lifelong vocation.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, a bunch of kids on the street fucking around anymore.
Right.
So I think the idea, and I'll just speak from my perspective, the idea was to put together this crew, and the talent was insane. Like,
Right.
just everyone had elements that they were bringing to it.
It was
We
like
felt
Voltron.
unstoppable.
It was like Voltron.
Yeah.
Everybody had their role.
Yeah. And we felt unstoppable.
Hold on. I don't want to. I tangent sometimes. That's I
all good.
apologize.
Go
fans.
ahead. Do your thing.
But I just want to personally know, because I don't even think over 20 fucking plus years I've ever asked you this question. What happened to Loke to the Brain? I come from the era of the tapes. You remember the picture inside of the tape?
Loke to the Brain.
Where they
Yeah.
was like sitting on a park
Yeah.
bench or something.
Yeah.
And it said Loke to the Brain coming soon. It was maybe on Season of the Sickness on the inside.
So
I
what
think-
was that? A crew within? Was that a group or?
I think that was supposed to be a group.
Okay,
It was
because I
supposed to
thought
be.
it was just a song. Loke
No,
to the
so
Brain,
I forget
Insane.
if it's on 24 Deep or Season, but this is back when you had tapes.
It's
So
on
the tape,
Season.
the tape would
Yeah,
fucking
I think
fold out.
It was on Season.
It had to be season.
It was
yeah.
on Season.
But on the inside, there was like it was like the next thing up.
Yeah.
It was Loke to the Brain coming soon, and it was
Yeah.
a picture, and I was like, oh yeah. I mean,
I don't recall if that was Mr. Doctor's brainchild or Lynch's, but
Yeah.
it was definitely going to be a crew. And that was Zag's debut, which
Yep.
lit that track up.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the idea was to have a group come out of it,
Yeah.
but that didn't materialize.
Okay.
yeah. That was one of the ones that said, we was like, we had to Loke to the Brain about to come out.
Loke to the Brain,
Right.
Insane, every day, all day. It's
Yeah.
EBK.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it turned into Siccmade, so. Or it morphed into Siccmade.
Yeah, like, my ability around timelines is not that good.
Yeah, mine neither.
You know,
Not at this
I'm
point.
getting better at remembering your name if I first meet you. It doesn't just go in
Me
one
too.
ear
Same
and out
thing
the other
with me.
anymore.
I swear to God. Same
But you
thing
know
to
what I
me,
mean?
bro.
Yeah.
I get torn up in the comments because a lot of, I've been there since the 90s, and I'll say something in the comments like, oh, when I was talking to C-Ball, I was like, was that before or after West Coast? And people in the comments like, this motherfucker don't even.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, I was there. I just,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
See, they
I don't-
ran me with the busy bone thing when I got the strength and loyalty. They was like,
Yeah.
fool. Like, yeah, they get
There's
vested.
hip hop purists in the comments.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I know.
Tear you up over a timeline.
Well, they have Google.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like it's all, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
And we're in real time. You're talking about almost
Yeah.
5 decades.
Well, and the
you know
funny
what I
shit
mean?
is some of the time, like what we was talking about then, it's like, I was in the studio for that.
Yeah.
I know the fucking
Yeah.
timeline,
That's
but
right.
like,
That's right.
I mean, listen, also to be clear, at that time, a lot of us were wilding out.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
us were on drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Didn't give a fuck about things.
that's a rock star life. Yeah.
I mean, it is. It's
So,
just,
let me-
it's not as romantic. The way it's romanticized versus the reality
Yeah.
is far apart.
Exactly. That's a fact. So you being in this crew, right? And so you being a white guy that's around all of these hood cats, and we'd be remiss not to mention the obvious of the gang element.
Right.
So how did you, like what was that for you coming into this hip hop, gangs, this whole new thing in politics and
Right.
this darkness? Like,
I think, and this is going back to growing up on the Big Island in Hawaii, around a lot of different cultures. I didn't bear any of that, perhaps insecurity or animus around it. I understood that there was a lot of racial politics. I was starting to understand that race was a factor in everything, but I didn't come into it with, like, I would meet other white rappers that were like, we need to make a white rapper band. And I'm like, I don't think you need to do that, bro.
Yeah.
This is not that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is Sacramento, at one point, Sacramento was on the cover
Time
of Time
magazine.
magazine for being the most integrated city. I forget how they put it. Like, in Sacramento at one point, everyone was fucking with everyone.
Yeah.
I don't think there were really, I mean, if we were to go to LA, it would be a different story.
Right.
But everyone was fucking with everyone. Everyone said the N-word, Russians, Vietnamese, Filipino, Mexican, white,
Right.
black, like everyone was getting down. And so it never really, I never experienced it as an issue. I understand now that for some people, having me as an ally might have seemed, there were times, one time we all got pulled over and I was behind the wheel. And I put on my whitest voice possible.
Yeah.
Did a little
With the
code
cornrows.
switching.
With the cornrows.
Cornrows, and the cops looking at me like, and then everyone, we're all throwing our pagers into the fucking glove box before he gets up. There's parts of that especially now with the awareness that I have now, I can look at and understand. But
Yeah.
at the time, that me being a white boy was not so much. I think considered, and at times, of course, when it came to freestyle battles,
Yeah.
I'd be like the secret weapon.
Right.
Like,
Right.
all right, bring out the white boy,
Right.
that
Right.
type of shit.
Right. It seemed
So-
like you had somewhat of an East Coast influence in your rap, in your rhymes, because you were very lyrical,
Right.
even though it was gangster, and very precise and concise with your pronunciation and all of that. Like, it was still hip hop in the gangster. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you did on purpose, or was it just innate?
So for me back then, the Mount Rushmore would have been Public Enemy, Boogie Down Productions, Ice-T, and NWA. I know I'm putting groups in there, but those were the four that gave me the
Gotcha.
inspiration to pick up my ink pen in the first place.
Okay.
And also, in part, I think a part of the outlaw culture in Hawaii, there's a bit of a political consciousness there that's kind of like already baked in. And so then growing up and being exposed, like my pops would expose me to books by the Black Panthers, The Life of Huey P. Newton, other things like that, to where I was like, I understood that there was that there's an overarching program socially going on here that we're fitting into.
Right. Right.
And it's interesting now, especially over what's happened over the last couple of weeks with the big beef and everything, this awareness of the bigger manipulations at play. And so I look at some of my back catalog, a little bit chagrined, like, oh yeah, there I was, right in the middle of that
Me
shit,
too.
perpetuating it.
I do the same thing.
You know what I mean?
I thought it was just me.
Nah,
No, man,
I do the
it's-
same thing. Sometimes I cringe when I look at some of the stuff I did and said and was like, shit.
I can't even listen. I can't even
Bro.
listen.
Bro,
Oh my God,
there's-
I was out there. I was part of the same problem that I kind of speak to now at
Right.
this big age. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm like, oh shit. But listen, that's part of the journey. That's why
It
we
is.
can actually speak on it now because we did it. So we can
That
kind
part.
of tell someone, hey, you might want to.
Yeah.
And I try to tell a few youngsters that too. I'm like, once you put it out there, it's in pen. You don't know who you're going to become, so
That part.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah.
And for me, looking back on it, like you said, I feel like I can come with some authority now when I speak on it.
Yep.
Like, listen, man, I understand that.
Right.
I was a part of that engine.
That's right.
And even at our level, we're not in the mainstream. We're not up at the top of the food chain, but both within the industry and within the streets, I heard things. I
Yes.
knew things. We understood things.
Yeah.
And so from the very beginning, there was a part of me that was like, this is what's in front of us. This is what we can get. This is why we're hungry. A lot of us are coming from broken homes, not having a dad, childhood trauma. There's reasons why we're acting out and taking the
Right.
risks that we're taking.
That's right.
And, by the grace of the gods, I'm still here to be able to speak about it now and try to rectify some of that, make my amends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Et cetera, et cetera.
I'm curious, and this is just from a fan perspective of Sac Music and of your music. Were you, now we talking kind of street shit. Did you represent Siccmade, or were you also representing 24th Street, like the Crip side of it as well?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
I think for me, I there was a part of me that always felt like I don't know how far I can go with this. And Lynch, to his credit, from the gate was like, don't get, be careful, bro. And also at the same time, being a very insecure, wounded man-child, there was a lot of ways in which that energy fed my ego. To be feared out of fear, to be loved out of, how do I want to put it? Respected out of fear rather than love.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I mean, first of all, it's a wild combination to come from poverty, to come from a place without a dad, no male role models, childhood trauma, music business, the adulation that you're a star. It's a perfect recipe for us to have no accountability whatsoever.
Right.
And we're just wilding out,
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that wilding out is what contributed to maybe Siccmade not flourishing like it maybe could have?
I think
not being
so.
so focused?
That's accurate. The other thing is at least for myself, and I think a couple of my cohorts too, we had this kind of sense of entitlement that we were so fucking talented, the world would come to us. And in New York or LA, that might have worked.
Yeah.
But we were in Sacramento. And as much as Black Market did some things for it, we didn't have any real mentors.
Yeah.
We had no one there to say, hey,
Exactly.
man, you need to get your licensing. Here's your
Exactly.
publishing.
Exactly.
Get the sneaker deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We didn't have Google back then. Anything
Yeah.
that you wanted to learn, you had to either get a book or know someone who knew it. Yeah, if you didn't have that, you was learning as you go.
And
Yeah.
we did not have that.
Yeah.
And so we missed out on a lot of opportunities.
How much do you think? Well, so I got questions about that era because I think when I first met, because I think it was before H Wood. I don't know if you remember Clyde from Black Market. He was so when I did the song with you, I was 15 years old. I was a young buck. I'm just now 41 or whatever. But Clyde was the stepfather to a girl that I was dating. And he was like Black Market. So I went to Power In to the
Oh, yeah.
office and I was over there and
Right.
but was your album, so I went over there under him and was like, I think Said had the office upstairs. But at the time, I feel like you would have come out on Black Market, or what was the deal there with how all of that was getting released? Because I know that Illegitimati is a Siccmade album.
Yeah.
But when I met you, it wasn't out. You were just featured on Lynch's albums.
Said wanted me to sign with him.
Okay.
There was never an offer made, but I was already pretty disdainful. Like, nah, man. I was seeing manipulations and skullduggery that I can understand a little bit more now, but at the time I was just like, nah. And
Who was out on Black Market at the time? It's Rated, it's Lynch.
Rated Lynch.
Triple Beam, are they out?
Probably Triple Beam was coming out somewhere in that timeline, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Doc.
And Doc. But already there were issues around payment.
Yeah.
Things that I understand now from a business perspective, I would have been a little more accommodating about. But at the same time, it didn't look right to me.
Yeah.
And like I said, I had this sense of, the world is going to get it.
Yeah.
The world will come to me.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm not tripping. I'm sticking with Siccmade. Regardless whatever Master P had, made in terms of an offer, I'm sticking with Siccmade. We're going to do this.
So is Lynch at the time of Black Market doing Siccmade on the side? Like, I'm telling you as the homie, like, just hold up, I'm going to do...
No, it wasn't even like that. It was just we had Siccmade and we were going to start doing our own thing.
Gotcha.
So were you in the studio for the recording of Season of the Sick?
Yeah.
For the whole, what was that experience like recording that album? Because that is a classic album.
I mean, it was, there was a part of me that understood history is being made right now. There was a part of me when X-Rated used to call us collect and spit verses that ended up on Unforgiven.
Right.
Like, there were moments where there's a part of me saying, pay the fuck attention. This is historical. You know what I mean?
That's the mentorship that was happening right there.
Right. Yeah. Like, it was, like I said, when I first heard Baby Killer, Return of the Baby Killer, I was like, oh, man, this is like, bro, I even remember saying, are you sure about this line? And he was all, yeah. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. Because, the energy that we brought, period, was about escalation to some degree. It's like that line in The Untouchables where he's talking about if they bring a knife, you bring a gun.
Right.
They put one of yours in the hospital, you send one of theirs to the morgue.
Right.
So we were about saying we were going to be egregious. On wax.
The most outlandish
shit
that you
know
can
what
come
I mean?
up with. Yeah.
And Season of the Sickness, that sickness started it. That's the ultimate posse cut, by the way.
Yeah. The
And
ultimate.
the ultimate posse
The
cut.
ultimate.
I miss those days. 8-minute fucking song,
No chorus.
5 rappers.
No
You
chorus.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
need to
Right.
bring that back.
Yeah,
We need to
yeah.
have the posse cut. So that and then Season of the Sickness kind of cemented it.
Right. Did you meet X-Rated before he went to jail?
No.
Okay.
So me and Lynch were living together, and Rated was still in jail, and he would call us collect and spit bars over the phone. So that's how we met, and then we corresponded via letter over the years.
Okay.
And then later on, we started doing the thing with Blockstar.
Okay.
So originally, it was just, I knew about the case as much as I had heard about it. I knew, shit was very, very, that had a lot of people twisted up
serious.
and
Yeah.
it was serious business. But I was just hearing his, he would just call him, spit verses.
Yeah.
I was like, this is incredible.
So that's what I said. The
what I
opportunity to
said.
do that. West Coast Bad Boys 2, correct?
Yep. Two.
So how did that opportunity come about with Master P's West Coast Bad Boys 2?
So originally, it might have been Refuse to Lose. There was another song that me and Lynch were going to do, and it didn't happen. And so then the next opportunity that came up was to do a song on West Coast Bad Boys 2. And that's what I said. And I remember, that was the start of the rubber bass era.
Yeah.
That bass line.
Yeah.
That Lynch and Funk Beta were fucking
Yeah,
with.
it's kind of like got a little pitch bender.
Yeah,
to
a
the
little
bass
bit
line.
of pitch
Yeah.
to it. Like that kind of signaled the sound that would be loaded.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
right.
Like that
Yeah.
was a tonal shift.
Yeah.
Season of the Sickness is very, it's got the synths. It's a little more, if you were to take one of those albums and try to place it adjacent with styles now, maybe it's a little more south or trappish, whatever. Like it had that kind of leanness to it. Whereas That's What I Said and Loaded is a lot more supple.
Yeah.
It's more tonal. It's richer.
Yeah, because That's What I Said was a very simple beat.
Yeah.
It was very simple. You probably had maybe 4 or 5 instruments in there.
Yeah.
And you're right with that pitch bender, because that was in the early 90s, Dr. Dre was kind of, or he kind of was instrumental in bringing that, but Lynch was using it differently.
Yeah.
You know, he was
Well, Funk Beta.
Funk
Funk
Beta
Beta.
was
Yeah.
doing it differently. But you are correct in that. Yeah. So did you know, I mean, because for me, even though I heard you on Season, it was That's What I Said that really, you know, brought you to the forefront, at least from our vantage point in the
Right.
Midwest. You know, is that accurate?
Wait, were you already, when that came out, you weren't living with P anymore? You were back in the Midwest? Because he was with P in 95. 95?
Yeah. So from down
That sounds
south
about right, because West Coast Bad Boys
It's
2
about
came out in
96.
97.
97.
Yeah,
Yeah, correct. It had the diamond
Yeah.
head on it, right? Yeah.
Pen and Pixel, baby.
Yeah, Pen and Pixel.
That
And
pissed.
so when that song and that album hit, I mean, did you see a shift in you? Just, you know, you having that verse on there, which was very memorable. Did you see a shift in your career and things coming your way?
I did. There was a shift in the attention. I remember people saying, "Oh shit, this is big."
Yeah.
I remember Dave Weiner calling me up and saying, what did he say? "Are you and Lynch ready to be the ebony and ivory of gangster rap?" I still remember that line.
Hilarious.
Shout out to Dave.
Shout out to Dave.
Homie Dave.
He's right
The
out
guy.
here. He's right out here.
Yeah, Dave
Yeah.
been on the show too.
Yeah. I saw that one.
The ebony and ivory.
ebony
The ebony and ivory of gangster rap.
Yeah.
So what happened with that? So he was presenting the opportunity. What came of that?
So we made the song, put it on West Coast Bad Boys 2. It blew up. My name started ringing. I did a couple of features. And at one point, one day, I'm sitting there on the couch with the homies, and Art comes over, and he hands me this giant, flat, square box. And I open it, and there's the gold plaque. That's What I Said. And that's when I knew.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is something. I still have that gold plaque. And, you know, the pineapple line made me famous.
Oh,
Yeah.
real. Oh, real
Like,
shit.
like people walking up to me.
It's
I'm
iconic.
quick to pull the pin up out the grenade, you know.
Hand you the pineapple. Yeah. So what
Here,
made you
motherfucker, hold
even
this.
like? Is that something you said, or is that just it came to you?
There's a
while you
lot
was
of
writing?
politics in his like you.
The last 4 lines, yeah.
There's a lot, and I'm gonna say this humbly, because I'm coming from the younger generation. So when that shit came out, it did put you in a different space, because when we actually got to know each other, is like, and this is how it goes for anyone who don't know rap: pay low key, pay that man to come in here and do 16 on our shit. Because now he's that guy. You know?
Right.
He's in. We knew Lynch that we got to pay to get him in.
Right.
Other dudes will come in and just drop a verse for the fuck of
Right.
it. But now it's like, nah, you got to pay low key to come in, because we need that same energy
Right.
on our shit.
Yeah. Right.
We need to, whatever his pineapple line, and for my song, it was the 187 on your FM dial. That was, oh shit, we share a similarity, but I'll get back to that. But yeah, man, it was like, I remember the studio session. And, you know, my neighborhood, kind of like where you're from, very minimal white people in the neighborhood, right? And I remember people being like, Loki came in with like a fucking novel. Like, he had a book in his hand. Like, he came in to do his shit. But I think people were aware that, like, I mean, the album is illegitimati. There's a lot of political talk. There's a lot of, like, there was something different. I don't know if it's that Souls of Mischief, that Jurassic 5, that hip-hop, that getting deeper into fucking... Because it wasn't just gangster, and
That's what I was speaking to earlier.
And I've always been curious of what that was for you, because your crew, they're doing the Siccmade shit.
Right.
But again, I'll never forget people saying it. I didn't pay attention that closely, and I was young. But they're like, this motherfucker had like a book. Like, he came not because you came trying to show it off, but you were actually probably just reading something at the time.
Yeah.
But he like, motherfuckers was like, bro, he like everyone's writing their verses, and he was like looking at his fucking novel or his book. But it was just like clearly you were thinking differently about different things that maybe weren't being talked about or happening or brought. Because who's rapping like from Sacramento? Who's rapping political shit at the time?
Right.
So I mean, where did that come from with you, or why was it?
Well, like I said, BDP was in my Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
And so KRS-One brought a lot of consideration to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So did Public Enemy. And I was aware of this bigger picture. I was aware that we were being corralled into things, but I couldn't put my thumb on it. I couldn't really identify what it was. There was just this nagging feeling. I think also like with Illegitimati, I wanted to make it clear that I could, kind of cover a spectrum of ideas and styles, with None to Die For, Indo 500. I was trying to make it clear that, I'm not just going to be this one two-dimensional thing. But, to be clear, there was a lot of that elsewhere too. Like, I wish Lynch got more credit for his song I Went From. It's my favorite song. Like, there's a bunch of other shit that he's done, but that's song...
on Lynch by Inch?
Lynch by Inch.
Yeah.
That song speaks so much deeper to a lot of other things, like it's a lot richer than Here Comes the Rip Cut.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, that's all the people really want to hear from him. But
it's like an actor getting typecast.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
sure.
it is.
I mean, I'll be honest. I was a big Lynch fan. I didn't want to hear nothing else. I just want to hear.
You were on the Now Eat soundtrack?
I was on the Now Eat soundtrack. Like,
That's right.
Like, I just want to hear. I love Lynch. To me, how Lynch evolved and grew was he got more introspective. Like, I tried to commit suicide, and songs like that kind of explored his depression and whatever his innermost demons were. That I wanted to hear that. I don't, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
You wanted to hear a bullet hole by the gas tank?
Yeah.
Put 1,500 in the bank
But
or
when he
whatever.
got serious, it was more introspective. That's what I expected from him. And that was the evolved Lynch, that I could appreciate.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Especially if you want longevity as an artist, you got to be able to make that elbow room for yourself.
Right.
And, people are going to put you into the bracket that they want you in and keep you there.
Yeah.
And, that's cool for a minute if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But that's all you're going to get.
Yeah. So ultimately, what happened with Siccmade? Like, why did it, I'm going to say dissolve or just didn't really live up to its full potential? What do you think that was due to?
I think we were never able to fulfill how much we needed to put out. For me personally, I had gotten to a point in my life where the negativity was outweighing the positivity. Mm-hmm. It got to a point to where people were dying, cycling in and out of prison, overdoses. Michelle Mann was murdered. Mm-hmm. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Brotha Lynch's sister.
Yeah. She was very dear to me. We were
you
very
had a
close.
song you sent me.
The Memorial.
The Memorial about her, yeah.
Yeah, that song wrote itself too. That was a big shift for me in incurring such a personal, close loss that wasn't tied to the game. And then P. Folks, rest in power. Yep. Him that overdose hit me hard. And I had already moved down to San Diego at that point.
Yeah, we talked when he had passed.
Yeah.
You told me, I'm going up on this day for the funeral. And
And
for those who don't know, P. Folks, North Highland legend. Mm-hmm. Also the introduction to me and this man and everyone else, because when Loaded came out, again, speaking from a North Sacramento dude, the South had it on lock. Sibo, X, this man, everybody, Black Market. And credit to Polo. And P. Folks.
Yep.
Loaded comes out. Lynch is the biggest thing in Sac. Him, at the time, Rated, and everyone else out of that camp. But when that Loaded album came out and we heard Make a Left Down Elkhorn to the North High Direction.
He just,
Woo!
yeah.
Hey, we was like, and no disrespect, Hollow Tip is already doing this thing. We already felt established because of Hollow Tip. But to then get a piece of that, like, now we got that connect.
Yeah.
And P Folks was a big part of that. P Folks and Polo, who I went to school with Polo's little brother Gerald.
Right.
So like we when that shit came out, we was at the Highlands football games. We was like, man, you hear that? Hold up, we play it again.
Yeah.
Rewind the tape.
Yeah.
Play that shit back.
Yeah, man. Out of that whole crew, me and P were the closest.
Yeah.
Or I was closest to him out of that crew.
Yeah, good dude.
And I remember like it seemed like some of us were starting to settle in to life post the wild years, and it felt like he was too. And I had just moved down to San Diego to be closer to my kid.
Yep.
I had, I was in the process of putting the mic and the pistol up. And then I got the call that he had died. And I came down for the funeral. I went up for the funeral. And I don't think I've told this story before, but I just remember kind of like reaching out to him like, you okay, bro? And on the day of the funeral, I woke up and this is not, how do I put this? Like he was sitting on the foot of the bed. And I don't mean like, it's not like I could literally see him, but I felt his presence and I knew he was there and he was like, I'm not ready to go. And so that whole day at his funeral was this intense experience of like, you gotta go, man. You can't stay here. Like it's time. And feeling those gates open up and that pull, and it was the last time I would be in Sac for a while, and that was a real heavy experience just in terms of how fleeting this is, and it can come for you at any time, and not to trot out pithy little Instagram quotes, but it's like, you got to cherish those moments that you have. And with him passing and Michelle and all of that, I just kind of got closer to like, all right, I really got to I got to, make some internal changes. Yeah. It would take years to do, right? But those two experiences led me to let things go. I had already left Siccmade at that point and had my part in starting up Blockstar with Rated, and then going to San Diego. It was just like it was time to be a dad to my kid. Yeah,
And I definitely want to transition to the Blockstar thing, but real quick, as I asked you, I told you before we started, Mr. Doctor.
Oh, right.
You going to speak on it, or you going to do what everybody else from SAC does? Just
listen,
breeze
man,
over
there's
it?
a lot of block business that stays block business.
Okay.
And there's I still think there's a lot of acrimony around that.
Yes. Yep.
And there's a little bit of he said, she said, but not enough to have me weighing one way or another on it, except that I know what I know.
Yeah.
And at some point that might resolve itself, but at some point it might not.
Okay.
There are some things that never get,
Yeah.
I laugh at this whole idea of closure that is perpetuated by Hollywood, for example. You say that one-liner that just gets to them and you hang up the phone.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't think we're ever going to get closure around that situation.
Yeah.
And a lot of people got hurt.
Yeah.
And it had reverberations throughout the prison system. Like it was a problem.
Wow.
It was a problem.
Wow.
And so that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of us are like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you said more than most, which I appreciate.
Well, and I think it's hard. I think the only reason he asks, and I kind of know some of the stories from talking to you, but I think that when you think about Sacramento, there's always that three-headed monster, that Rated, Lynch, and Bo.
Yep.
Mr. Doc was supposed to be one because
Absolutely.
he was.
That Set Trip and Block Style is classic.
That's a classic album,
Yeah.
and he was like kind of positioned to be another one of
He
those.
could have been.
Always
another
say
one of those guys.
Northern Cali Snoop Dogg. you
Yeah.
know,
Right.
Northern Cali version.
And again,
of
Set
Snoop.
Trippin' was,
Man,
Yeah.
to this day, I still listen to Set Trippin'.
Yeah.
so I think that people, because we get just comments, and again, I'm not from there, so I'm not involved at all. I'm from North Highlands. We got our own shit. But it was, it was like when he disappeared, there was a void and like, ooh, but he was one of them ones.
Right.
Like he
Right.
had that sound. And I think, there's a mystique around like, where the fuck did he go?
Right,
Like that's why the question is ever even
No,
posed.
it's actually from a fan's standpoint.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
You know
it's,
what I
Right,
mean?
again, it comes
Yeah.
from that fan standpoint
Yeah.
of like, well, yeah, we want
Like we hear, whispers and he
Right.
did this, he did that, and then
Right.
nobody's seen him. It's like, where is he? Is he still even alive? You know what I mean?
Nah, he
no
did.
social media.
He got
no
all
nothing.
swole. He did an
Yeah.
album with a Mexican
remember
cat,
that. I remember that.
Lorenzo.
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, he just kind of became an enigma. It's like,
that Trippin'
I
was
mean,
fire though.
yeah.
maybe it's a testament to some things can still remain where they should be in this era where everything gets aired out.
Yeah.
All the rocks that have been thrown in glass houses over the last week
Yeah.
with the Drake and Kendrick beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, there's still a G code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
It still exists.
It's respect
And
to you and everyone who leave it there too.
That's real. That's
Yeah.
real. And that's a lost
That's
art.
that.
That's a lost art.
We've seen that eroded.
Yes.
By bad actors like Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Yeah.
And other examples of
Yeah.
where people have no respect for a sense of like, there's this code.
Yeah.
If you make allegations, you better have the fucking paperwork.
Paperwork.
You know, for example, we already know, like, if you accuse someone of being a rat and you're fucking wrong, that's a problem.
That's on you. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You got to atone for that. Yeah.
And what we're seeing right now over this last week with the Kendrick and Drake beef has been a wild escalation of saying shit.
yeah.
But
Yeah. Where's the proof?
what do you have?
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
And I'm not saying it's not like I'm not taking a position in favor
Yeah,
of Drake
yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
There's you say and behave in enough egregious ways that are on the public record, things can be inferred.
Yes.
But and listen, I am not a fan. I'm trying to do better by not saying this, but that statements.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think in this case, Kendrick won, but at what cost?
Yeah.
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 And so
but we're also in a day and age of, it's clips over context. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's all about the clicks and the clips,
Yeah.
And the public, they're dumb. They don't care. No, I don't want to say dumb, but they're they believe anything, and they just they just go with the masses. Nobody's really saying, well, hold on.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Easily
let's-
titillated.
Yeah. Let's do some due diligence here and figure out what's really being said.
Right.
Because I'm the same way. Like we come from where the beefs, for one, some things that are said, apology can't fix. When you start talking about people's kids and families, I think that's overboard. Now it's out of hip hop, it's out of rap. Now
Yeah.
I got to see you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a diss really is only impactful when it's true. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
When it's true, that's the one that really is like, oh, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Your mama so fat and the playground shit. It's like, okay, it's funny or
Right.
whatever, tongue in cheek, but it don't hit the same
Right.
when somebody can really get you with the truth. And I think that's missing now. But I want to transition a little bit. So X gets out. Did you guys?
By the
start-
way, hold on though. That was some real game. That was some real game. That was some real game. And people just might need to soak
Yeah,
it in for a
yeah.
minute. Respect to Rated and you and Bo and everybody in the situation for just leaving shit where it is. Hey,
real shit.
Some shit in our world just didn't
Yep.
sit right.
It's okay to be quiet
And so we
sometimes.
left it there. And for the fans, That Trippin' was a fire album.
Yep. It
That's
was.
their personal politics.
That's right.
And we leave it there. So I think
Yeah.
that we don't have to ask it. You know what I mean? Anymore.
it.
It's like we got
That's
the
it.
answers.
Yeah.
Shit was left with they
Yep.
crew and
Yep.
what they need to do. And
Right.
and
Yep.
Yeah.
You're the third reputable from up there that pretty much said, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
and it's
So
and
that's
you
where
guys
we
are
gonna leave
still
it.
locked there, uniform on, like that's our
Which is rare.
That's our bit. It is rare. So
In the culture these days, it seems like it's becoming more and more rare for certain codes to be kind of just honored.
Yeah.
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 You know.
Respect.
Yeah.
Blockstar.
So Blockstar, did you and X begin that journey with Blockstar while he was still locked up on his way home?
Yeah.
Okay.
That began years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did it begin? How did the correspondence turn to just you guys versus phone calls over, spitting rhymes at Lynch's house?
So we had been corresponding over the years, and at that point, I had put out 2 albums on Siccmade, Illegitimati, 21 Gun Salute. I wasn't seeing a lot of movement there, and at one point, X sent me a letter saying, "Here's the plan for Blockstar," and it was funny because at the end of the letter, he said, don't even try to not say, I already know you're going to say yes, but don't try to. Like, he knew. I was like, fucking let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. And it was a hard thing to do with him still incarcerated. And there's some good stories in there for the memoir around, the shenanigans of trying to get recording and all that kind of stuff. I'll leave that to Rated to tell those stories. But, we that was my first experience of here's how you do business properly.
Right.
Which was a real education. And I was really
Coming from
grateful.
X.
Coming from X.
Yeah.
That man,
Yeah, he's sharp.
he knows.
Yeah, he's sharp.
And he's about doing it properly.
Yep.
And that was a new experience for me, and it was very, very welcome. We put out the Ignition album. There were 1 or 2 others. And then, so around the time that is happening, then the birth of my son happens, plus Michelle is killed, then P-Folks passes. So as much as I was kind of there to get that thing started to do my part in that, like eventually it became very clear to me, I gotta dip out and be a father to my kid. And I know it's a cliche to say that, having that child changed my life, but cliches are based on reality. And when I had that boy, a lot of my priorities changed.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it because me and his mom broke up at my instigation, and she moved down to San Diego. And the plan was to spend about a year going back and forth because I was a graphic designer at the time. I could make my own hours. I was freelance. By the way, being a graphic designer is one of the reasons why I had problems with pen and pixel. But that's a whole other thing. I appreciate that aesthetic now in the same way that I appreciate a Journey song now.
Right.
Yeah.
All that corny shit is just, it's perfect now.
Journey's the shit,
you know what
bro.
I mean?
What you talking about? Journey's the shit.
But back in the day, I was resentful. This
Come on,
fucking
man.
emotional bullshit.
Journey,
this
REO
emo.
Speedway.
Yeah, I
Come
know,
on, man.
I know.
What you talking about?
Yeah.
I get it now. But
At the time you were.
at the time, I was a spitter. I was
Yeah.
like, fuck this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Journey's also NorCal legends. Let's hold it down.
that's fair. That's fair.
Hanford, though, I think, or Hartford, that's actually Central California, but they rep NorCal.
Cali.
Yeah.
So, I when my baby mama and my son moved down to San Diego, it was about a month and a half before I got to see him again. And that had been the longest we had ever not been in each other's lives all day, every day. And I flew down there to see them, and I'll never forget it. I walked out the gate, and I saw him in the distance, and he shouted, "Daddy," and he ran over to me, and I squatted down, and he jumped up into my arms, and he just curled up into a ball, and my fucking heart broke. Like, what am I doing? I was like, ooh, okay. Because, like I said, the idea was to let the smoke clear between me and his mom for a minute, let the dust settle. We have been really good at co-parenting ever since, and I'm grateful for that because I hear the stories of much more acrimonious partnerships where parents are weaponizing the kids against each other.
Absolutely.
Gratefully, we didn't have that. But that moment, that was just like, okay.
Well, that's a testament to you and her. I don't know her.
Yeah.
I know the stories because I was talking to you through
Right.
this whole time.
Yeah.
But it takes, as someone who's divorced as well, co-parenting, you have to put some of your ego down and be like, look, our shit is our shit, but they don't really
That
have to.
part.
They don't have to be a part of
Yeah.
our bullshit.
Yeah.
And then we still can do this. So
Yeah.
that's testament to you and her.
And also, I know every parent, absolutely, waxes poetic about their kids the most amazing. But this kid it was very easy to be his dad.
Yeah.
It was very easy to be like, I'm going to put these aspirations of fame, money, and power and be this kid's dad, because he was just so full of life and amazing and fun and artistic.
That's dope.
And I was just like, this is what I'm doing now.
Right. Is that what made you step away from the Blockstar situation, just focusing more on family?
It was more that. And at the same time, Rated was also focusing on like I think somewhere within there it became clear that redemption was possible. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I don't know how adjacent those two timelines are, but I was focusing on family, and he was focusing on his own self healing as well. Mm-hmm. And so I was just like in San Diego on the beach, living my life, making good money, being a dad to my kid.
Yeah. What was that feeling like? I mean, because I'm sure at that time you and X-Rated had been corresponding for many, many years. So there's a brotherhood there.
Right.
What was it like when he finally came home and you guys were able to realize that dream? I know he had the compound in Vegas with the Blockstar thing. Like, how was that to finally like, man, we're right here in front of each other. We can do this. It
was crazy. It was aspirations decades long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was a lot harder than I think. I'll speak for myself. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Again, I have this mentality of entitlement, like we're fucking the shit. Of course the world is going to come to us.
Right.
And that's not the case. Mm-hmm. With the last album I dropped, I've actually been involved in, placement and actually putting money out to put us in places. You know what I mean? Like more it's more about how you engage to get yourself out there in front in the first place. There's a lot of business machinations there that are involved that I didn't know about, or I knew about but didn't understand how deep that goes and what it takes to make happen. And so by the same token, by the time I got to Vegas, I was in the end stages of a crippling addiction. And it had finally come home to roost.
Wow.
And I had been trying to negotiate the terms of my exit, and I was not doing a good job at it, which a lot of people that have experienced that can testify to. I was drinking heavy and hard, and it was becoming a fucking problem. And I knew it, but I was not ready to, because I knew what the price would be. The farther in you go with that, the harder it is to get out.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem like there's no other choice. And so when you finally decide to get out, it is a harrowing gauntlet. And out of all of the risks taken in my life, out of all of, I've been shot at, very, very sketchy situations that I've placed myself in, taking risks with my life, finally deciding to take that by the horns was one of the scariest things I ever did in my life.
Wow.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And it took every inch of me to do.
Yeah.
And that was near the end of my time in Vegas. I was not at all capable of being able to show up for Blockstar and really do my part.
Wow.
I was done.
Yeah. That's deep.
And yeah, man.
Because accountability, you rarely hear that. You rarely hear people say, hey, listen, this was my part in that. I could have been better. And then actually do the work to be better. So, man,
I mean,
I commend you, brother.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I there's something in recovery culture called a living amends, because there are some people that you're not going to be able to speak with and say, I'm sorry to. So you make a living amends. And I do that now. And to be clear, I am not there's a lot of things about recovery culture that are a problem. And I'm not here to thump any Bibles or any books on it. I have found a lot of value in what I found there and the path that I've been able to make for myself. But I was in a space to where there was nothing, there was no other option but to either heal or die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You can stop heroin or cocaine or crack cold turkey and it won't kill you. You stop drinking cold turkey and it can kill you. I had to take a 4-day drug protocol to prevent seizures, and I lost my fucking mind.
Wow.
Climbing the walls, talking, I shit you not, talking to a 6-foot-tall albino raven with red eyes, telling me, bro, it doesn't look good.
Wow.
Yeah, that's deep.
That's deep. I appreciate your transparency with that, and hopefully somebody can get something out of that and get, inspiration if they're dealing with something or going through something.
That's why I feel so comfortable talking about it.
Yeah.
Because there's people out there that need to hear it.
Yep.
And it's funny, on 21 Gun Salute, there's a song called Me in the Bottle. Mm-hmm. It trips me out now when I look back and I realize, oh, I knew this was coming for years.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, I was laying the brickwork for this. Yeah. And I didn't even know it. Like, I'd find, writings and I'd be like, holy shit, I knew this was coming for a long fucking time.
We can speak spells over ourselves. We can script our lives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's
How
a real
much
thing.
of that addiction, though? I'm not giving it any shine, but like, that. Remember did you listen to Who Put Sac on the Map? The 21, it was First Degree and Low Key.
21 Gun Salute.
The 21 Gun Salute. Incredible song. That's another one of those, like,
That's one of my least favorite songs.
I love that song, bro.
It's so funny.
It's slow, though.
It's very
slow.
low. It's very down tempo.
Yeah, shout out to First Degree. That's the homie.
Yeah.
But that was another one of those ones where I think it was like, I picked it up at like Premiere Music or some shit back in the day and was like, oh yeah, they got another one. The crew got another one.
And now,
Four Horsemen was on that album. It's
listen,
like, oh,
real quick. I mean, just a little segue. I mean, and that was a deep moment right there.
That's deep. Coming
off of that, being that you brought up First Degree, man, what is in the water in Sacramento? It just seems like most of the rappers are just eccentric as hell, like
artistic.
Y'all just didn't come out. I mean, Bo would probably have to be the more normal, right?
Just a gangster rapper.
Yeah, gangster rapper. But everybody
one of the
else,
most incredible gangster rappers.
Yes, this
Tupac.
Tupac's
favorite rapper.
This is a fact. But for the most part, man, y'all's creativity, y'all just didn't give a shit. From First Degree to yourself to Lynch to Rated to Homicide to Gangsta Dre to Joker. It's a million of them. Like what's in the water up there, man? Why Sac just
look at our serial killers, Dorothy Puente.
Yeah.
With the Social Security checks,
Richard Chase.
the vampire, killer. I don't know, man. There's definitely actually
Zodiac. I mean,
yeah. There's a 50 years of hip hop anthology coming out with a couple of poems that I wrote about Sacramento in it, where I tried to summarize that, because there are times when I look back on it and I'm a little bit like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Like the amount of crazy shit that has happened within my group of peers is kind of wild.
Yeah.
And there are times where I'm like, is this a curse? Like what is going on here? Why is there this level of intensity, this attraction to drama and pain? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us have, luckily, a gift to give it a voice, and now we're coming to a place to where we're being a little more eloquent about unpacking it, or looking at it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Yeah, legend has it that Wendy Day at one point, I believe it was Wendy Day, was looking at either Sacramento or Kansas City. To bring some attention to. Because, God, was it Wendy Day or Violet Brown?
Probably Violet Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was what, thank you, you're right, Violet Brown. It was what out of these two cities should I put some attention on?
Yeah.
And Kansas City ended up getting it instead of Sacramento. I am mad.
Yeah. Come on, man.
It's understandable.
I mean, y'all got all the fucking superstar gangster rappers. We got to have something.
Yeah.
You know what
Fair.
I mean?
That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all got Tech Nine.
We do have Tech Nine.
The biggest independent rapper that's ever existed.
down.
Put some respect on Strange Music. Yes,
And still doing it.
Yeah,
Shout out to him and
Shout
Jesus,
out to
that
Tech.
new video.
I tolerate no Tech Nine slander.
I mean, he's up there. He's on my fucking top 5.
Yeah.
So
I don't think there's many people who slander him.
They try, mainly from our fucking city, but they
Okay.
don't count.
Yeah.
How could you? It's such a
I mean,
phenomenal talent.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, because I ain't gonna keep you too much longer. What's your relationship like now with Lynch, with X-Rated and the fellas? Do you still keep in contact?
still in touch. I know Lynch is dropping 24, not 24.
Season.
Season 2 is
yeah.
coming out, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what X has got on the books, and at this point, I feel like the most, like, sometimes it feels like the most that I'll see of people is at the next funeral.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. We've all gone our own ways. We're all doing our own things, and that's family, regardless of what happens.
Right.
And recently, over the last year, recently, we, one of the homies from Siccmade, Carrie, rest in peace, passed away recently. I know it was a lot of different things, but it was definitely the roots of addiction and past pain and trauma that contributed to it. And so, that gives me that strips away my hesitancy now to call someone and say, hey, you good?
Yeah.
I used to be like, I don't want to bother him right now. I don't want to be too too annoying, or I don't want to be too dramatic about it. You okay? You know what I mean? But that last experience, because we had been in communication, and she was telling me that something was wrong, and I was trying, and I knew it, and I was trying to keep it light, but keep it engaged.
Right.
And then she passed.
Wow.
And so at this point, I've kind of gotten rid of I'm sorry to bother you, fuck that. I'm going to be like, hey man, and I've done it a couple of times now where I just wake up, I should hit so and so up and see if they're okay.
Yeah.
And I'll just hit them up like, hey man, you good? And they're
Right.
like, yeah, I'm fine. What's going on? I'm like, my spidey sense was tingling a little bit. You know what I mean? And the fact that we're all still here is kind of wild to me.
Yeah.
I'm, not like I was, vigorously pursuing a death wish, but I'll speak for myself. I was engaged in some pretty wild, crazy shit. And I look on it now and I understand why some of that was in my wheelhouse and why I was, pursuing that. And I'm just grateful to be here.
Yeah. That's
at
right.
this point.
I say the same thing, brother. That's a testimony.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine in recovery who's got a good way of putting it. He says, the way he puts it is, everything is on loan and God is the repo man. He can take it at any time. And it sounds darker than the way he says it. He's a funny dude. But I like to look at it like all of these are blessings, but it can go at any time.
Oh, that's real. This life is very, very short, and the older that you get, the more that becomes a reality.
Yeah.
And I always say, you live life long enough, it'll teach you how to live. And at this point in my life, I
like that.
I have more time, in back of me than in front of me.
Shit,
You know
we
what I'm
all
saying?
Right.
So it
That's a trip.
keeps things in perspective. So. But on that note, brother, what do you have going on right now?
Okay. I'm working on a new album, which it's very different than Pineapple in that the whole thing is written and not a single beat has been made. So I'm kind of reverse engineering the creative process. I'm working on that. I've got a memoir that I've been working on. I've got do you remember those Choose Your Own Adventure novels?
Hardy Boys type shit.
But where it'd be like, if you go through the left door, turn to page 7. If you hop into the car, turn to page 20. I made one of those recently. I'm kind of pulling out all the stops and putting out a bunch of shit.
Okay.
There's going to be music. I've been getting, so when shit ended, when I came to that screeching halt in Vegas, I went to Humboldt County for 2 years, and I lived in a little cabin surrounded by some sand dunes on the beach in between two small towns for 2 years. Wrote a bunch of poetry, did a lot of soul searching, got published a little bit, and I'm pursuing that more. So at this point, it's a lot of different creative venues and kind of channels that I'm exploring with the music and with writing, and we'll see what else, you know.
That's nice.
I kind of keep it open.
Hey, well, we looking forward to it, brother.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Let me give this man his flowers on my end before you do it. But I appreciate you, bro.
Hey, man.
You've always been like that, you know, big brother, like voice when, you know, you and I would talk about, and I'm saying this genuinely, even though you was going through your shit, that time where you went and spent time with your son was influential more than you know later on. Because I remember calling, still kind of being stuck in my own gangster and being like, man, I just had a kid. My wife want to send him to a fucking Waldorf school and some, and I'm over here like still trying to, I don't know. And then he'd be like, nah, bro, that's what it is though. Like I think your lady was a Waldorf teacher or your child. He's like, man, and you know, you was just always very like, nah, man, put all that other shit to the side. Like, that's what's up. That's actually, and then, you know, you always, you know, as I navigated entertainment, would tell you my story. You'd be like, man, I just did a drawing. I wrote a script. Like, check my shit out. And we always, since the 90s, have been able to bounce that shit back and forth. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the fucking thousands of texts, phone calls, hours.
Thank you, man.
Whether they've been good or not, whether it was like a homeboy who passed and we talking about that, or we talking about rap, or we talking about Waldorf shit in kids' schools or whatever. I appreciate you. I've always appreciated your art and your friendship and, you know, the time we've been able to spend together since back in the day.
Thank you, brother. Likewise,
and you've always
man.
been a
Real shit.
solid figure, like from day one since I met you in the studio. Our shared connection. When I first met this man 20 years ago, moving to LA, we talked about Spice One. We talked about rap. And I was like, oh, I did a song with him. Me, the homie Loki, Spice One. It's called Ready for War. And then he was like, I did a song with Spice One called Ready for War on the Blair Witch Project or whatever this shit was. And we had to like compare songs. Be like, wait, hold on. We got the same title of a song with the same fucking feature. So we share. But anyway, man, there's always been that brotherhood there. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
and I'm glad to see you doing well. We all,
that's a fact.
You know, we all do our ups and downs in life. I'm glad to see you on the up and, and doing
thank you,
good, brother. So
that's a fact. Hey, that's what it is. That's the bouquet of flowers right there. And me as a fan, you know, brother, we appreciate what you contributed to the culture and to the music, especially the Sacramento scene.
Legendary shit.
Yeah, I just been repeating the pineapple shit for 20 years, you know what I'm saying? 25 years, you know what I mean? So, yeah, brother, we appreciate you. And thank you for sharing your journey because it's very inspirational, you know, no cap.
Yeah, and check out his new shit when it comes out. And anything this man putting out, you know, we got his back over here.
Hey, and so you got an open invitation here, brother. So you know this is home. Anytime you want to come, brother,
I appreciate it.
Just let us know, and we here.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? So so we gonna sign out right now. Any last words, low key?
I mean, I think that's it. Just you know, there's a whole go to the link tree. Everything is up there on what I'm doing, and you know. I am hopelessly compelled to create. That'll never change. So, you know.
What's the link tree? What's the?
You can go to, I'm on TikTok, Loki Excelsior, Loki Excelsior on Spotify. Loki Excelsior, you'll find me.
Yeah, we'll put you on the lower. We'll have it on there.
Yeah.
That's him. He'll do all that.
Yeah, make sure you're good. Yeah.
That's what the link tree is, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, all good.
Us old men don't know. There you go.
All good. Brother. Well, man, Big Court, Holdin Court Podcast, producer Ken, and the homie Low Key. And we out for this one. Salute.